Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kundi Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadip Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. And thank you, dear devotees, for joining us for this special edition of the Zoom classes. So as announced earlier, our classes will be focusing on His Holiness Bhakti Caru Swami Maharaj, in honoring him, remembering him, and giving each other solace, support, understanding, and strength. And thank you, Maharaj, for leading us in this. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jaina Bhutade Swayam Rupa Koda Mahyam Dadhati Shupadantikam Vansha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Well, devotees from everywhere have been gathering to express their devotion, their grief, their appreciation for His Holiness Bhakti Caru Maharaj. I posted the link for Bhaktivedanta Manners program, which is online for replay. For Ghosh Prabhu speaks, Akandadi Prabhu speaks, Chandramoli Maharaj, Radhanath Maharaj, Shivaram Maharaj, Giriraj Maharaj. The Shivaram Maharaj said that since Prabhupada's disappearance, nothing has affected him as much as the disappearance of Bhakti Caru Maharaj. When Maharaj, as you know, most who were here, Maharaj called in sick, really, on his scheduled program here. And we used our time to speak about his glories in a different mood, remembering some of his wonderful qualities. And although I thought he has a fever, this isn't good, I didn't go much beyond that. Now it's come to this. So I'll read a little bit from Srimad Bhagavatam, and then perhaps others would like to speak. I especially don't want to press Maharaj's disciples to speak. I know it's difficult. If anyone would like to, they're welcome. But Others perhaps could step forward first if you'd like. But anyway, Srimad Bhagavatam. This Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 15. The Pandavas retire timely. I'm a little lost, not just lost, I'm confused, more than lost, because there have been so many programs now that I've forgotten what I've spoken at which program, or what I've heard spoken at which program. Yesterday there were so many wonderful devotees spoke. So I think I haven't spoken from this section in this gathering. If I have, someone can, you don't even have to raise your hand, just tell me. But this is I was reminded of this section of Srimad Bhagavatam by a question that Rukmini Devi asked Srila Prabhupada after a lecture in 1968 in Montreal. And she said, sometimes I feel so far away from you when you're not here. And Prabhupada said, what is that? And Janardhan, the temple president, repeated that she says she feels so far away from you when you're not here. And Prabhupada explained that there are two ways, familiar now to us, this instruction, that one can associate with by physical association or by the bani, the sound. So Prabhupada said that the sound is more important, and that in the absence of the spiritual master, you can remember his words of instruction, then you will not feel separation. You will feel that he is with you. And then Prabhupada gave the example, which brings us to this section of Bhagavatam, of Arjuna, who, when Krishna left the planet, was overwhelmed by feeling of separation. But then he remembered Krishna's instructions spoken to him at the battlefield, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and he felt pacified. So what happened briefly, I'll tell more of the story than Prabhupada did on that occasion. Yudhisthira started seeing signs of ill fortune, ill omens. The people were starting to become quarrelsome. The crows were shrieking. His horses would weep upon seeing him. The deities in the temple seemed to be perspiring and seemed to be ready to leave. There were so many ill omens. So Yudhisthira Maharaj was fearing the worst, and he'd sent Arjuna to Dwarka some months earlier to find out news of the other dynasty. And Arjuna hadn't come back, but now Arjuna returned, and he looked completely distraught. He'd lost all, as if he'd lost all life, all luster. And there was some discussion, could this have happened? Could that have happened? Or Yudhisthira Maharaj was questioning him. And finally he said, where is it that Krishna has disappeared? And Arjuna said that was in fact what had happened. And then he said, Soham Nrpendra Rahita Purushottamena Sakya Priyena Surada Pridiyena Shunya. The Nrpendra, O king, Soham Rahita. Now I'm bereft. Purushottamena, of the association of Krishna. Sakya, my friend, Krishna. Priyena, my dearmost friend. Suhrada, my well-wisher. Pridiyena Shunya. And so my heart is vacant. Soham Nrpendra Rahita Purushottamena Shakya Priyena Surada Pridiyena Shunya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also prayed, Shunyayatam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahiname. Feeling separation from Krishna, Yugayatam Nimeshena. A fraction of a moment seems like a yuga. Chakshusha Parvashayatam. And tears are flowing from my eyes. Shunyayatam Jagat Sarvam. And the whole world seems empty. Shunyayatam Jagat Sarvam. Govinda Virahin, because of the absence of Krishna. Then there's and he tells the king how the Yadus fought among one another and wiped one another out. I'm skipping. Then Desha Kalarta Yuktani Prit Tapo Pashamani Cha Paranti Smaratas Chittam Govinda Vihitani Me. Now I'm attracted to the instructions imparted to me by Krishna because they're impregnated with instructions to relieve the burning heart. Desha Kalarta Yuktani, in all circumstances, at all places, all times. Hrit Tapa, Upashamani. Those instructions can extinguish the burning within the heart. Smarata Chittam, by remembering those instructions, my mind is attracted. Paranti. Govinda Abhitani Me. By remembering the instructions spoken by Krishna. The parallel is there. The spiritual master is not Krishna, but he's the direct representative of Krishna. Sakshad Haritena Samasta Shastra. There's the spiritual master is directly Krishna's representative. So for us, he's as good as Krishna, because he's the servant of Krishna. And the separation from the spiritual master is equally painful. It's been quoted by several people over the last days that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired from Ramananda Roy, what's the worst suffering? And Ramananda Roy replied that separation from a devotee is the most painful form of suffering. So that there we find ourselves separated from such a devotee as Bhakti Charan Maharaj. And Burijan Prabhu, I heard, said that Maharaj's disappearance ushers in a decade of tears. Because as he's left, so many will leave over the next decade. That song is there by Narottam Das Thakur. We sing it on the disappearance day of great Vaishnavas. But he expresses that, where's this one gone? Where's that one gone? Where they've all gone. Not only one, but all at once, they've all seemed to have left. So that's facing us, that so many will leave, and we'll have a decade of tears. After a few years, now Prabhupada's gone, Prabhupada's godbrothers are gone. Next, Prabhupada's disciples will be gone. And next, you'll be gone also, next generation. This is the way that the nature works. It's not extraordinary. This is the nature of this world. And what's extraordinary perhaps is that people were thinking that they were going to have a great time here and in this world. And they didn't figure on essentially a plague striking the world and disrupting everything. Now I heard from Shamkun Prabhu today, and confirmed to me that now the virus is mutating and young people in their 20s and 30s are subject to the new strain, more vulnerable to the new strain. I tell it to be quiet and it just doesn't believe me. I don't understand why. So this is the world. It's not Sukhalaya at all. It's a miserable place. So I've digressed. The point from Bhagavatam is that although there may be this painful feeling of separation, as we remember the instructions of our spiritual master, then, as Prabhupada said, you will not feel separation. You will feel that he is with you. And therefore Prabhupada wrote, he lives forever by his divine instructions, and the follower lives with him. And I said I wasn't going to talk a lot, and I've already talked a lot, so maybe I'll stop here, and whoever else might wish to speak could, I suppose, raise your hand. I'll speak more if you want. If you have questions, you can ask, and if you'd like to speak, you can. Please do so. I was so happy to hear from Vegavati at our previous meeting how sweetly Maharaj compared her to the Queen of England. So these wonderful memories are there. And well, do we see any hands, Madan Gopal?
Well, while we're waiting, Maharaj, maybe I can say one memory that really struck me. I remember when we were going through a lot of difficulty during the passing of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami, and he was very close to us, and he was one of the ones who Krishna took way too early, such a young age. And at that time, Bhakti Charu Maharaj also gave us a lot of solace. And he was remembering Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. He was saying, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, when he was very, very young as a boy, the first words that came from his mouth were the words from the Bible, biblical, spiritual words. And then immediately Bhakti Charu Maharaj said, this is very similar to how, the first time Radharani opened her eyes, she only chose to open her eyes when Krishna was in front of her for the first time. Similarly, the first time Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj chose to speak, it was only something glory of God. And I found it so striking that Bhakti Charu Maharaj saw the divine so clearly and just came up with the perfect analogy to capture the spiritual essence of what he was trying to say. I will share real quick one poem that Mother Rukmini shared today or yesterday. It's a poem by Maya Angelou, but it was very apt, and I'll just read it. It's a short one. It says, when great trees fall, rocks and distant hills shudder. Lions hunker down in tall grasses, and even elephants lumber after safety. When great trees fall in forests, small things recoil into silence. Their senses eroded beyond fear. When great souls leave, the air around us becomes light, rare, sterile. We breathe briefly, our eyes briefly see with a hurtful clarity. Our memory suddenly sharpened examines, gnaws on kind words unsaid, promised walks never taken. Great souls leave, and our reality bound to them takes leave of us. Our souls dependent upon their nurture now shrink, wizened. Our minds formed and informed by their radiance fall away. We are not so much maddened as reduced to the unutterable ignorance of dark, cold caves. And when great souls leave, after a period, peace blooms, slowly and always irregularly. Space is filled with the kind of soothing electric vibration. Our senses restored, never to be the same, whisper to us, they existed. They existed. We can be and be better, for they existed. Hare Krishna. we have Tulsipriya Mataji. I think she wants to say something. Go ahead, Tulsipriya Mataji. You can unmute yourself.
Hi, Krishna. Just want to share a thought, and maybe Maharaj would be willing to address it. When these great Vaishnavas leave, and my first thought invariably when they leave is, who will step up to fill their shoes? And I don't think to myself that it is necessarily possible for anyone to fill their shoes. There can never be another Bhakti Caru Swami. There can never be another Bhakti Tirtha Swami. Certainly never be another Srila Prabhupada. But I think that what is possible is that a number of us can somehow step up to fill the void. And that's what I meant to say, not fill their shoes, so to speak, but fill the void that they leave behind. Personally, I feel very incompetent, and I don't think Krishna is calling on me to fill up anyone's void. But I do feel like I try to do something small in the absence of being able to do anything important. And yet I wonder, who are the people who will do important things? Because a lot of times it seems that those who want to take roles are more interested in, how do I put it? Sometimes I feel like the changes that people who are stepping up want to make kind of throw out baby with the bathwater, and too many things change, or things don't stay the same as Prabhupada wanted them to. So I get a little concerned, and yeah, I'm kind of musing here. I don't know if I'm making a point, but if you find one in that comment, then maybe you could address it.
Well, your last point was certainly trenchant, that when our acharya leaves, we have a great responsibility to preserve what he's given, not wreck it, not adulterate it, not distort it. As Prabhupada said, don't add anything, don't subtract anything, don't change anything. To preserve what the acharya has given is our sacred duty. It's such a strong duty. If we don't innovate, if we don't come up with lots of new ideas, then history won't blame us terribly. But if we adulterate, if we lose the essence of what we've been given, then that's tragic. And if we preserve it, then we've done what we were asked to do. Preserve it, keep it intact. If you can expand it, wonderful, but don't adulterate it. Keep it as it is. Keep it pure, keep it intact, and it will act. It will act. I was just reading, Bhakti Charu Maharaj gave a series of podcasts in which he talked about his life with Srila Prabhupada. And in there he related one incident that, of course, caught my attention because of something I'm interested in. He was at a kirtan, and the Prabhupada was present, and the kirtan was very enthusiastic, and the kirtan leader at one point began chanting Bolo Hare Krishna, and Prabhupada stopped the kirtan. That nothing should change. Don't add anything to the Maha Mantra. And Bolo just means chant, but that much Prabhupada, for that, Prabhupada stopped the kirtan. So Bhakti Charu Maharaj noted it, that this we should not do. And he instructed his disciples in that way. So perhaps that's one point to take with us from what you've said, that just we have to be honest, pure, faithful, keep it as it is. That's our core responsibility. And then if we can contribute something more, that's wonderful. Prabhupada said, at least preserve what I've given you. And then if you can expand it, it's wonderful. And of course, it is expanding in many ways. In some ways it's not, and in some ways it is. So maybe those are some thoughts.
Thank you.
The
I was just thinking that since preserving what is given is in the mode of goodness, in the material world, is a place of the mode of passion and change, and the mode of ignorance, destruction, that to engage in the work of preserving is revolutionary. Whereas if we're always changing things and always trying to adjust to the material world, we're not doing something revolutionary. We're just doing the same thing that everybody else is doing.
Yeah, that is your Western disease, Prabhupada said, always wanting to change. Therefore, nistraigunya bhavarjana, the modes of nature will always be in a contest among themselves. Therefore, we're meant to come to the transcendental platform above all the modes of nature. So that's the platform of the Maha Mantra. When one chants Hare Krishna purely, then one Stagunan Samiti Chaitan Brahmabhuyaya Kopate, one comes to the spiritual platform. Is that all right? Would someone else like to contribute something? It can be of anything relevant that you'd like to bring up.
Yes, Yadanath Prabhu, go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj. Sort of piggybacking on this idea of who's going to fill the void and how to move forward. I feel like I'm under this tremendous weight of ennui. And I know I'm only a couple days in. I sort of want to ask you about your own experience. My understanding from when Prabhupada left, that most of you sort of overcompensated the other way. You didn't give yourselves time to grieve, and it was just head down and plow into the mission hard. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know that I'd make that generalization that, as a generation, we didn't give ourselves time to grieve.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. There was a lot of grief, and there was tremendous grief, and at the same time there was also a determination to carry on. But regardless of I'm sure some of us didn't sort of didn't give ourselves the time to do that. Giriraj Maharaj quoted today in the Bhaktivedanta Manor meeting from the fourth canto, where Vidarbhi, upon the death of her husband, wants to enter the fire with her husband, the fire of her husband. And because she feels that in his absence, the world has become, she's overwhelmed with grief. And that's the purport where Prabhupada says that upon the disappearance of the spiritual master, the disciple should cry. It's not philosophically, I'm sorry, you're supposed to remember the philosophy and you're not allowed to cry. You're supposed to be above the comings and goings occasioned by material circumstances, and so you can't cry. There, Prabhupada says that the disciple should cry. So that's, even the karmis, they cry, but then they go back, they get over it, and they go back to sense gratification. Therefore, in Ecclesiastes, it said, better the house of mourning than the house of feasting. And the commentator says that even when the wise are not physically in the house of mourning is always within them. So a wise person will always keep in mind the miseries of this world, and his dissatisfaction with this world is his advantage. But the devotees, they also, similarly, they grieve and then they get over it. They don't go on feeling hopeless and vacant and dead. They also, after some time, recover, but they don't go back to sense gratification. They go forward with the determination to serve the spiritual master. If they remember the instructions of the spiritual master and keep those instructions in their hearts, their minds, then they have the association of the spiritual master. The karmis don't have anything. They have a picture and some, of course, they have remembrances, but how much does that remembrance help them? Mostly it's on the bodily platform. But for the disciple, yes, one we say gets over it and pushes forward. That's the way we're wired, We grieve for some time and we go on. We have to. If we go on grieving forever, then moping is against devotional service. Krishna, the spiritual master, doesn't want us to mope forever. He wants us to serve. So we have to do that. But on the other hand, if we just try to soldier on without taking the natural course of grief, then that's also not recommended. It's natural for us to grieve, and then it's natural for us to go ahead, and we should go ahead with even greater determination that I have to serve my spiritual master now. He's not here. He had a mission, he had a purpose, he had something he wanted to accomplish. now he's not here to do it. I have to take on some share of that project of his, that mission of his. That becomes our duty and our good fortune also, to be able to serve the mission of the spiritual master, serve the instructions of the spiritual master. Is that all right?
That's wonderful. Thank you. And I just
Thank
also like, I'm sorry.
I couldn't hear.
I said, yes, that's wonderful. Thank you. And I'd also like to just offer my appreciation. I don't know if many of our audience, they just know that you're here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But if anybody doesn't know, I just want them to know that you have been all over the place. I mean, I've been seeking out these programs, and you're everywhere, Maharaj. You're doing these tributes, these glorifications. You're adding different things and new insights and new remembrances, and it's out of your own selflessness, commitment to service, and love for your God brother. And I commend you, and I'm inspired by you, and I thank you.
It's your kindness. Mostly I go to those places to hear this today at the Manners, the devotee spoke so profoundly. I don't know if you caught that program, but the devotee, I saw that Yashodadula Prabhu was there, and every 15 minutes was the norm. I think Shivaram Maharaj and Radhanath Maharaj had a little longer, but the thoughts they expressed, that everyone expressed, were so valuable. So for me, it was a kind of solace to hear from these devotees. Thank you. Do we have another hand there? Madan Gopal Prabhu?
Mother Brajalila might have say something. Mother Brajalila, I noticed you had been muting yourself.
Thank you so much, Madan Gopal Prabhu. Thank you. I also want to appreciate Maharaj so much. I mean, not just that he's been at Towaco, but he's been, ever since Srila Prabhupada left, available for all devotees. And personally, Maharaj, I want to apologize for any offenses that I have made in your presence to you. I'm really, from my heart, I'm sincerely begging you to forgive me for any offenses.
Haji, there's no offense at all. But you're in the wrong meeting. We're supposed to be talking about Bhakti Charu Maharaj. If we're going to start talking about me, we're going to be off track.
I don't think so, Maharaj. I think Bhakti Charu Maharaj would be so happy that I am begging your forgiveness, because he's etiquette personified. I believe he would be very grateful. So Bhakti Charu Maharaj, the last time I was on the call, speak about him, because he's been so close to us, as Madan Gopal Prabhu said. He really reached out to us as disciples of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. And my first experience with Maharaj was in around the early 80s in Mayapur, when he generously offered Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj to stay in his room when Maharaj would come to Mayapur. Because in the early years when Guru Maharaj would go to Mayapur, he didn't really have a place to stay. So he would just stay wherever he was, whatever place was given to him. And I remember Bhakti Charu Maharaj asking him, where did he stay? And so, yes, my Guru Maharaj said, wherever. And he said, no, I want you to come stay at my house, at my place, my room, believe in a Kanch building. And I happened to be there during that time, and I just experienced over the years, from those early years, how generous and how much of a friend Bhakti Caru Maharaj was to my spiritual master. And that friendship, I saw that all the way to the end of my spiritual master's life. And so we, all of his disciples, are so indebted to him because he really took us under his wing. And, there were so many things we really didn't know, especially how to take care of our Guru Maharaj after he left his body. And Bhakti Caru Maharaj personally came and, personally sat with us right here in the house I'm staying right now, sat around the table with us and walked us through every single aspect of what to do when the spiritual master leave. And, we were grieving, of course, and we didn't understand so many things. And yet somehow we were able to do the things that Maharaj, instructed us to do. So he's been for us, for all of his Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj disciples, he's been someone that, he knew what was needed for the disciples, and he would make himself available for that. I remember he came to Gitanagari once and he saw the Vyasasan for Srila Prabhupada, and he said, it's not appropriate. This is after my Guru Maharaj had left. He said, it's not appropriate for Srila Prabhupada. He said, I'm going to arrange for Prabhupada to have an appropriate seat. And actually he went back to Ujjain and he arranged, and it came from Ujjain. He also arranged for the altar in Gitanagari because he wanted Srila Prabhupada, he wanted Radha Damodar to be presented in a way that he thought was that Prabhupada would want, that was appropriate. And also some other very personal memories in terms of my spiritual master and his affection for Bhakti Caru Maharaj. When he was leaving his body during those last months, we, of course, were his caretakers, myself and my husband. But my Guru Maharaj every single day would watch the Abhay Charan video for hours. That was his comforter. And, it was always amazing because he would always say, just play it again, just play that again, just play that scene again, play that scene again. And that we saw how much he just valued and respected and loved Bhakti Caru Maharaj for what he had done. And that was like the way he was connecting with Srila Prabhupada. And so, we just would see how much he loved that he could connect with Srila Prabhupada in that way. And then the Samadhi, after he told us everything to do, after he gave us all instructions what to do, then he had to leave. He had to go back to India. And he said, okay, you bring the ashes to Mayapur. And when you bring the ashes to Mayapur, then we will put him in Samadhi in Mayapur. And I'm going to build a Samadhi. And he actually came from Ujjain to meet us in Mayapur, and he personally stayed in Mayapur and built the Samadhi for Guru Maharaj. And I remember there were many discussions about the marble to use and how the Samadhi is supposed to look. And he said, yes, it's going to be white marble, and it's going to be like this, and we're bringing all the marble from Ujjain, and we were just like amazed at how he just, took that responsibility. And we felt so relieved because we didn't know what to do. And so he stepped in again in that way. And so anytime we felt at a loss, Caru Maharaj would make himself physically available. And so, of course, every time his departure would come around, our Guru Maharaj's departure, Bhakti Caru Maharaj would always arrange somehow to either speak to us on the phone, or he would personally make himself available. So this last time that it was a Guru Maharaj disappearance, Bhakti Caru Maharaj, although I believe he must have been ill at that time, because it was the day, it was 2 days before he was supposed to do the program here in Towaco. And so he did that program for us from Florida. And the program, the name of the class he gave was Creating New Memories for the departure, after the departure of your guru. That was the name of the class he gave, Creating New Memories. And so that was just like 2 days later, we learned we came on to watch the program in Towaco, and we learned that he wasn't doing it. We were waiting for the class. And then, of course, you, Maharaj, you started sharing about him. And then we started learning, that he was not well. So we, the disciples of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, we always felt that even though our spiritual master was not here, that if there was anything we needed, Bhakti Caru Maharaj would always be there. And in that class he gave, the last thing he told us in the class, if we listened to this class, he said, if you need anything at any time, please just call me, just call me. And so for us, it's there's so many beautiful and wonderful things that so many of the God family of Bhakti Caru Maharaj has shared about him. But for us, he's just that loving, caring, understanding, present uncle. And that cannot come out of our hearts. It cannot come out of our hearts because we needed that so much. And so now for the disciple of Bhakti Caru Maharaj, we just want to be here for all of you as much as we can. We're simple, we don't know much, we don't know anything, but however, our hearts are with you. Our hearts are with you. And we know after 15 years, yes, we know our Guru Maharaj is here. He's more present now. Yes, we can say all the things that's being said. However, in these days now, there's nothing I think anyone can say to a disciple that can relieve the pain that a disciple feels. I don't believe there's anything that could be said. And we just have to experience it. And actually it's beautiful. However, it doesn't start feeling beautiful for maybe some years. At least that's been our experience. So I want to thank you so very much, Maharaj. Again, thank you. Please, please, please forgive us for any offenses. And thank you for giving us an opportunity to share something about our beloved uncle. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prajalila, for speaking so beautifully. And if I've offended you or Ekavir, Prabhu, please.
Maharaj.
We still have a little time, not much. Do we, Madan Gopal?
Shamhari Prabhu wanted to say a few words. So Shamhari Prabhu, we have a few minutes, if you can go ahead, and then after that we'll make the announcements for the upcoming programs.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, and please accept my obeisances. And also Rajlila Mataji, this is Shamhari, your old servant, all the way back from Chitanagari.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I have not seen you since Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj left the body. I was there when he was leaving the body. Guru Maharaj was there. Radhanath Maharaj was there. We all were there. And I remember every word you said about Maharaj. Bhakti Caru Maharaj gave everyone a lot of solicitation at that time that, though Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj left, but you're not alone, we'll take care of you. I remember all those. So thank you, Mataji.
Thank you very much.
It's so nice to see you after such a long time. And I'd met Prabhuji, but I did not get a chance to talk to him too long before. Now, talking about Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Caru Maharaj, I got few things. Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj, you were there on February 6th, 2006, when the Ujjain inauguration was taking place. With all the Swamis, they were there. And I have seen Guru Maharaj at that time was so happy because the whole project was done within 10 months, the whole construction and building of everything which he needed to do before a year, because that's what he was told, that finish the temple before that time. And he finished in 10 months. And if you see him, he was very, very happy. And he has been like this all these years, because every program I see, he has so much energy, so much feeling of, I don't know, joy. Every time, even at the 2019 Rath Yatra, Ujjain Rath Yatra I saw, which was exactly 1 year, on 4th of July. And Maharaj was again in the same spirit, very happy, taking care of everyone, whosoever is coming, and the Rath Yatra, all the guests, all the people on the streets, all the people after, during the feast. Maharaj used to take care of everyone so much. And no matter who, whether he knew him or not, even a small baby came, he will take care of the baby. So he has been like this every time I saw him, or I've been associated with him, whatever little time I did. But I saw that quality in Maharaj. He was always happy, very much highlight, what do you call it, electrified, charged with the love and with uh, uh, taking care of everyone. So that's one thing which I noticed. Another thing I noticed that he takes care of his devotees. He will teach every little thing. He will teach you what is the meaning of Hare Krishna mantra, what is the meaning of Hare Krishna. He will even tell how to do Gayatri, how many Bij mantras are there, how you should use it, because people don't do it, how to count it. He will go to any extent, deep extent, to make sure that his devotees are not doing wrong things. And he will give lectures on all these things. And then in the beginning, also said many times in his speech, three things I remember very clearly: that don't ride on Srila Prabhupada's shoulder. That was one thing he used to say always. Second thing he says, never leave ISKCON. No matter what, under what circumstance, never leave ISKCON. And third thing he says, be in Krishna consciousness always. Always do the japa. I very clearly remember his teachings. There are so many other things, but that's all I want to say right now.
Thank you so much, Shamhari Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Maharaj. And thank you, dear devotees who came today and participated in hearing and glorifying. There's a note from Kishore Dulal Prabhu. Shamhari Prabhu and his wife Premamai Mataji are in the 80s and devotees for a long time. They even served Srila Prabhupada Prasadam once in Pittsburgh. This is those of us who don't know. And Krishna Rupa Shiv Shankar says, I feel so thankful to His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj for giving us similar solace during his time to what Guru Maharaj gave to the disciples of Bhakti Tirtha Swami. I'm thinking so much about the time last May at Deland with Jayadvaita Maharaj and Guru Maharaj. Maharaj simply weep and beg for his shelter and protection forevermore, so that we can learn how to be of genuine, constant service to Guru Maharaj. We have so much faith in your guidance, your servant Krishna Rupa. Hare Krishna. Thank you for your comments. And so it is 9 o'clock now. I will make a couple of quick announcements about the upcoming programs. So, as always, His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj will be here on this channel at 8 p.m. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Tomorrow evening, we'll have His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj. Giriraj Maharaj, he is aware of all the different sanghas that have been happening to glorify His Holiness Bhakti Caru Maharaj in these past 3 days. And it'll be nice to hear from him. He'll be bringing a unique perspective to this topic, having heard so many different inputs, plus his own input and his own guidance on how we can, work through this difficult time. So please do come for tomorrow evening's talk with Giriraj Maharaj. And then on Thursday, we have Her Grace Krishnanandini Mataji. So please note that the Thursday program starts at 7:30, a little bit earlier, because Krishnanandini Mataji's earlier schedule. So please note on Thursday, it's going to be at 7:30 p.m. And her topic is going to be preparing for life's final exam. And this is from a very exalted devotee. She's a Prabhupada disciple. She's currently in hospice care, and she's very uniquely situated to talk on this topic in one sense. So please do come to hear from her. It's always been an empowering experience. She's spoken on this channel before, and the devotees very much appreciated it. And then we also have...
One amazing lady.
Yes, Maharaj. I mean, she was, she really electrified everybody who heard from her. You know, we were very fortunate to have met her. And then on Saturday morning, we have His Holiness Sachinandan Swami Maharaj at Saturday morning, 9 a.m. And he's going to be talking on a series of 6-part talk. And Saturday evening at 8 p.m., we have His Grace Gauranga Prabhu. And Sunday evening, we have His Grace Radhika Raman Prabhu. So please do join us for these upcoming programs, and we look forward to seeing all of you. And also, if you know any other devotees who may be interested, kindly forward this information. If you don't know where to find it, you can find it on our website, iskonofnewjersey.org. This way you don't have to remember too many things. You just go to iskonofnewjersey.org, the splash page that comes up, and it has all the details on how you can log on and participate. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.